Thank you again for tuning in to our free webinar, Refinancing and Purchasing a Home in Maine. I'm Jennifer Schultz from Cumberland Title with Matthew McDonald, owner and attorney at Cumberland Title. And 6 episodes. This is our 6th episode,
It's
Matthew.
our 6th episode. I feel pretty good about these.
Feels like 12.
It feels like, no, it's a lot of work, I think. Yeah, you know what? The other thing I just want to tell people is, I'm shooting this with my phone.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have said, hey, it looks great. It looks fantastic. This is actually a Samsung Galaxy Note 5. This is my phone,
Proof
at least
you
for this
don't
camera.
need expensive equipment.
You do not. If you take your time, and it's the content that matters, but I think for the lighting and what we're doing here today, shooting it on a phone is not too bad.
Not too shabby.
Yeah, not too shabby. All right,
So-
where are we going today?
So today we're going to talk about title insurance.
Yes.
But before we get into that, we actually got an email.
Yes.
We had a question. Someone asked how much would it cost them if they did call in to talk to you and ask you a question.
Gotcha. Well, if you're at home, you're watching this webinar, and you're sitting there and you think to yourself, I have a question. Boy, I don't want to call Matthew because he's an attorney and he's going to charge me a lot of money. No, please call. I will not charge you to call me and answer a few questions. I mean, if it truly does get to a point where I think I'm taking on a representation of you, and we've talked about representation issues before in a previous episode, and I'm going to charge you, I will let you know long before we get to that point. But if you have a question, need a recommendation, want to ask a question about something, just call me. I am not going to charge you. Yes. So,
Excellent.
yeah. So there, we got that out of the way. Yeah.
So let's delve right into title insurance.
Yes, the most boring topic we can possibly get into.
But we
for
will
this.
try not to make
We'll
it boring.
try not to make it boring. Yeah.
Why do we need title insurance?
Well, you know what? This sounds strange, but we're actually going to start this little seminar in Africa.
Okay.
Yes, because I'm going to put a few pictures up on the screen here of homes in Africa. Now, this is not one of the more developed areas of Africa, of course, but in some of the undeveloped areas, you actually have to spray paint on your house. This house not for sale. Because in those areas of Africa, you go away for the weekend, there's no deeds, there's no title attorneys, there's no title insurance, there's no title companies. And in those areas, if you go away for a couple of days, you could come back to find that someone has sold your house and someone else will be physically living inside your house. So while title insurance is not the cheapest thing in the world, it's better than spray painting this house not for sale on the front of your house.
So you heard it here first. Matthew is telling us all to spray paint the front of our houses.
Yes, so don't do that. You don't need to. If you get title insurance and you work through a title company and you call Cumberland Title, then you don't have to spray paint the front of your house. So,
Perfect.
Yeah, gotcha.
So as wonderful as that story was, let's come back to the U.S.
Yep.
And let's translate that to us. What is title insurance?
Gotcha. If I had to simplify it as much as I can, title insurance is an insurance product. Just sort of like car insurance, it's an insurance product that says you own your home. You own the land and you own your home. And you have a contractual relationship with one of three very large companies, big billion-dollar companies, that have a contractual relationship to protect your ownership of your home. So the way I sort of talk about it in first-time homebuyer classes is that when you go to a closing, Jennifer, and you sit down and you sign a whole bunch of paperwork, what did you buy?
That's a great question. I've left a couple of closings wondering the exact same thing.
Okay, gotcha. Well, when it comes right down to it, you really only bought a piece of paper. That's all you really bought. And who signed that piece of paper? Well, somebody you don't know. So, yes, the title company searched the title of the property, but in the end, when you walked out of that closing, you bought one piece of paper signed by the seller, a person you don't know. That's all you bought. So now you have to start thinking, well, gosh, if all I bought was a piece of paper, what's backing that up? What is protecting my ownership of that property? And the answer is an owner policy of title insurance. That is the thing that is backing up and protecting your most important, most expensive purchase of your entire life.
And being one of the most expensive purchases in my entire life, what benefits is that piece of paper, that title insurance, going to give me?
Gotcha.
Give me some examples of...
Absolutely. Well, the first and foremost is that if the title to the property ever comes into question, then you call the title insurance company, and again, you've purchased a contractual relationship with them to defend title to your property. So if you move into your house and then the neighbor says, well, I have an easement to go across your front yard with my tractor. I've always had an easement, and I'm going to bring my tractor across your front yard every day over to my field over there. Well, again, that's a claim to the ownership of your property. And that's when you would want to call the title insurance company and say, hey, look, you know what? Someone's making a claim to the ownership of my property. That's when we would get involved.
So to avoid a modern-day Hatfield and McCoy.
To avoid a modern-day Hatfield and McCoy, and to avoid a modern-day tractor going across your property when you weren't expecting that, or that wasn't something that you knew about as you went into the transaction on the property. There is something called exceptions to a title insurance policy, and this gets a little complex, but in those exceptions to a title insurance policy, that's everything that does affect your property. Those are the things that are on record at the Registry of Deeds. And if someone did have an easement, 1, you would know about it. 2, it's in the exceptions of the policy. And 3, you purchased it knowing about it. It's really those things we can't sort of see coming forward, those claims to the title of your property. For instance, a forgery. You know, there's nothing preventing someone really from going out and forging a deed to try and take ownership of your property. There might be confusion, there might be missing heirs, someone who is missed in a probate who might have a claim to that property. And now you've purchased it, and now you're dealing with someone who says, wait a second, I know you bought it and everything, but I have an interest in this property. That's what title insurance is for. It's the only thing backing up your ownership of the property.
And speaking of ownership, there are 2, as far as I know, 2 types of owners policies. Can you get into a little detail of the difference between the 2?
I can, yep. There's 2 types of owner policies. Now, if you are buying a home where you are going to live, that is, generally speaking, you are going to need what's called the enhanced owner policy. All right. So in a residential transaction, we usually don't talk to the home buyer too much about this, but we just give them that because that is the one that they need as a homeowner. Now, there is another kind of owner policy. It's more designed for commercial properties, and that's what we call around here the ALTA policy. So the ALTA policy would be a lower level of coverage. The enhanced policy would be a higher level of coverage. And I'm going to put a graphic up on the screen so you can kind of see and maybe read through a little bit some of the coverages, some of the things that can go wrong that are not covered in an ALTA policy, because again, that's more for a commercial transaction, and are covered under an enhanced policy. So if we remember in the last episode, we covered questions you should ask a title company.
Right.
One of the questions you should be asking the title company is when you are asking for a quote, you should make sure, hey, are you quoting me the enhanced owner policy? Because I do know, unfortunately, some title companies, in order to get you in the door, will only quote that ALTA policy. And that's not really what you need, and it's probably not what you're going to get. They're just quoting that ALTA policy because it is a little bit cheaper to get you in the door. Make sure that you are getting quoted and make sure you are receiving at closing an enhanced owner policy.
Good tip.
Yeah,
Okay.
excellent. Yeah.
I think that pretty much covers what we wanted to talk about today for title insurance, unless there's anything else you can think of.
Gotcha.
Any other details?
No, I think a lot of times, believe it or not, Google is just a great resource. If you ever just go to Google, type in title insurance, what is title insurance? You can call me and ask me again, what is title insurance? We can talk about it, and I'm happy to do so. But there's a lot of great information out there about what title insurance is, what it does. We've only really just scratched the surface here.
So do call Matthew if you have any questions, or email him. His contact information is in the box below. I think that covers it for now. Until next time, for episode 7, I'm Jennifer Schultz for Cumberland Title with Matthew McDonald for Cumberland Title. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.